etats in Iran, Guatemala, Congo, Dominican Republic, Indonesia, Chile, and more were all designed to prevent successful communist nations from developing. From the Bay of Pigs invasion in 1961 right up to the continuing trade embargo that still exists today, the US has been using its power and influence to prevent a successful communist nation from developing in Cuba. This is a short list, by the way. There are plenty more examples if you want. Nicaragua, El Salvador, the tiny island of Grenada. It just keeps going. I recommend Mark Zepsauer's tidy little volume called The CIA's Greatest Hits for more detail. Domino theory is popularly accepted as the main reason why the Vietnam War was fought. Domino theory says that if Vietnam was allowed to fall to the communists as China had, that Indonesia or the Philippines or even Japan could also fall in quick succession. What people misunderstand about this analysis is why communism was viewed as a threat. The shorthand says that communist nations were repressive, and that because America valued freedom and self-determination, communist nations could not be tolerated. The real reason that communist nations were a threat is that they valued self-development over foreign capital penetration. Communist nations sought to develop their domestic economies and were done letting Western nations extract wealth from inside their borders, as had been common practice during the entire colonial period. Countries like the USSR and China represented an alternative economic system that was a threat to ruling class interests in the United States. As Michael Parenti points out, the goal of anti-communist ideologues like Joseph McCarthy was to prevent any alternative systems from ever challenging the hegemony of global capitalism. The US agenda leading up to the Vietnam War was to spread America's version of capitalism to every corner of the earth. The US could not tolerate a successful independent nation in Southeast Asia or any place else because their example could spread like a virus, or topple like dominoes if you prefer, across the globe, a danger to US domination. The point was to keep small nations like Vietnam inside the Western capitalist system. After the Vietnamese successfully defeated the French, it became necessary for the US to step in and discourage any other countries from following Vietnam's example or getting any wise ideas about their own independence. Even one example of a successful communist nation was too much for the United States or Western capitalism to tolerate, because even one successful example was seen as a threat to the entire capitalist order. That's why every single one needed to be attacked and suppressed, frequently using the full weight of the entire American defense establishment. Gee, I wonder why it's so dang hard to come up with one example of a successful communist nation.